Greetings. I'm Paul E. Bretzker, author of Observing Hancock at Gettysburg. This is an animated map of the general's major tactical actions on Day 2 of the battle. On 2 July 1863, the force on Hancock's left, General Dan Sickles' Third Corps, made a foolish advance as much as a mile in front of its proper position. This left the Corps' flanks unsupported and created a salient vulnerable to attack from two fronts simultaneously. We pick up the action after Sickles incurred a devastating wound and General Meade put Hancock in charge of the Third Corps. Hancock took Colonel George Willard's brigade of New Yorkers with him as he went leftward to take command. On his way, he met one of Sickles' division commanders, General David Birney. Birney convinced Hancock it was too late to rescue his division, and Hancock saw the triumphant charge of Confederate General William Barksdale's brigade. He dispatched Willard's brigade to stop Barksdale, which it did. Both brigade leaders went down. The 39th New York went left to retake some artillery pieces from the Confederates. But then Hancock noticed some Confederates were getting around Willard's right, which led him to send the 111th New York, which he had held in reserve, to meet the encroaching enemy. The Confederate attack was en echelon, which meant each brigade advanced after the one on its right, creating a rolling wave-like impact. Hancock followed the fight to his right. He saw a line of Confederates advancing, and in the smoke and confusion of battle, mistook them for retreating Federals. As he approached to rally them, they fired, hitting his last remaining aide twice. They were Confederate General Cadmus Wilcox's brigade. As he fled, he searched desperately for friendly troops. He found but one regiment, the 1st Minnesota. Even though Wilcox's brigade outnumbered the Minnesotans several times over, he ordered them to charge. The Minnesotans complied and suffered a ghastly casualty count, but they stalled Wilcox long enough to save the position until reinforcements arrived. Then, still moving to his right, he found the Confederate tide had crested and was receding, but Confederate General Ambrose Wright's brigade was making off with some more artillery pieces. Fortunately for Hancock, some First Corps Vermonters appeared, having recognized from their position on Cemetery Hill that Hancock needed help. These men he sent to chase down the retreating enemy and retake the guns, which they did, happily. Hancock followed their movement until he was satisfied their mission was safely accomplished. His position saved, he visited the right side of his line. It was dusk. Then he heard some action getting closer and closer on General Howard's front, and determined to send a brigade in the direction of the noise. He chose the Brigade of Westerners under Colonel Samuel Carroll. It turned out to be what one witness described as a happy inspiration, as Confederates from General Jubal Early's division had reached the crest of Cemetery Hill. They had entered General Howard's artillery batteries and were engaged hand-to-hand with the gunners. The entrance of Carroll's brigade into the fight proved decisive as they sent the intrepid Confederates back down the hill. That effectively ended Winfield Scott Hancock's participation in the fight of 2 July. There's much, much more about Day 2 in Observing Hancock at Gettysburg. I'm the author, Paul E. Bretzker, and this has been an animated map of Hancock's actions on Day 2. Watch this space for an animated map of the climactic fight of Day 3.